So here we go live. Hello everyone, welcome to Meshery Development Meeting, and today is November 15th, and this is the meeting where we discuss all the different areas of Meshery, especially back end, front end, and how we can improve Meshery as a community. And Meshery is a CNC project which helps you manage your cloud native infrastructure. So in case you are live joining on the call from you are on the Zoom, then I'll share the link in the chat where which you can use to add your names in the meeting minutes so that we don't miss you out. And yeah, there are a couple of housekeeping items. First is that we give newcomers a chance to introduce themselves. So let me see who is new. Um, I think everybody is old comers. Okay, so that's good. So I think first item is from Saurabh on call for volunteers. Saurabh, would you like to take it over?
Yes. I'll just present my screen. Okay, so Mystery, Layer 5 and Mystery have been doing such great work, but when it comes to searching and navigating through search engines or AIs like ChatGPT, all comes up about Layer 5 is just Service Mesh Manager. So we don't want that to overcome that or get rid of that. We are trying to get more blogs and more content up on our websites. So there are mainly three websites where we need blogs or documentation on, which are docs.layer5.io, docs.mystery.io, layer5.io/blogs, and mystery.io/blogs. So we need some content here to put up about whatever we are doing. So since we are open source community, so and contributors have made this from scratch, so contributors know what they are working on. So about what they are working on, they can write about it on the website itself and raise the PR. And if they are not sure what they should write about, they can navigate to the writers program. We have a pretty much some topics that they can write about already, that we about SMP, mystery catalog. So we already have much topics to write about. So if we are thinking to write a blog or contributing to the documentation part, feel free to sound off in Slack, and you can raise the PR to integrate that blog into the mission or Layer 5. Thank you.
Anybody has any questions on this, like how to get started?
I do, or I just have a follow-up to that, if I may. There are a handful of you that are on the call that yesterday, I think, picked up an assignment. Either it was a blog post, or it was a documentation page, or it was a section on one of the websites to talk about a feature. Or it'd be nice to hear from each of you about what those are. Uzair, Saruchi, you guys want to start?
Okay, so I would be writing on how we manage the different integrations or the way the code deployment engine works inside Meshery, and what are the various ways you can use. Like for example, you can source from a Helm repository or direct Kubernetes manifest or Docker Compose file. So how that it is structured inside Meshery, I would be adding about that part.
Juicy. I don't know. That's a thick old top. That's wonderful. Cool. I swear there were other people that said that they were going to do something.
Actually, I've already written a section on keys and keychain on Layer 5 docs, but it's pending for if someone can please have a look.
I will. Sure. If
there is one more assignment for me for connections, to write a documentation in the docs and how we manage the connection and what actually is connection, and what actually is unmanaged and managed connection, and how Meshery manages the managed connection in the Meshery. So yeah.
So like I will be writing on like how to create an published design in catalog like a guide, as well as I will be also looking on mesh docs.meshy.io and will take some item from there. Like I see this supported platform documentation is not fully complete, so I will be working on that.
Ooh, yeah. When you say that, Suruchi, that last part,
Yeah,
say a little bit.
the supported platform part. I mean,
Yeah, is
so
that
it's not completely like it's not fully complete. So I will take that item.
beautiful? Sorry, I didn't get a chance. I heard you say it 3 times. Good, wonderful. My question is, are you referring to the platforms upon which you install Meshery and fully document it? Okay, and not the platforms that Meshery integrates with. Okay, great. Hey, of those, there'd been some recent work on those docs. Thanks for jumping in. I'm out of pure curiosity. Which aspects do you think? I'm sure there's a bunch of things that can be improved. What are you thinking about improving? Or just like as a random example, if just like one small thing popped to mind.
Like I will see like I didn't seek it completely. I will see like which part need optimal.
Oh, okay. Yeah, got you. Yeah. There's, oh man, this, for anyone who's installed Meshery or installed any piece of software, there's like a million different things that can potentially go wrong. There was some dependency that's missing for someone, not necessarily that they're building or contributing, they're just installing, but that version of Docker wasn't supported, or like there's a bunch. Some of the things that you might end up adding might end up going into an FAQ or like going into like troubleshooting, maybe like troubleshooting an install or something. To your point, one of the things that I don't think we have, it's documented. I don't know that there's much that really goes in depth, and it's this. Well, it's like a pre-flight check. Is your system ready to install Meshery? Do you have everything that you need to be successful installing Meshery? There's a Meshery CTL command that runs a pre-flight check. And then there's a Meshery CTL command. It's basically the same command, but just 2 different flags. It checks on the health of a deployment. So there's like one before you deploy and one after you deploy. And to me, it would seem like, each of the supported platforms, each of those pages, they start with, make sure that you have downloaded and have Meshery CTL handy, the CLI, and then run through these steps. It would seem like that's a great opportunity to say, make sure you have the CTL handy, go ahead and run this pre-flight check using the CLI, and then do all these steps, whatever the steps are. And then at the end, here, run this post-deployment check. It would seem like that might be fairly consistent across the pages. So yeah, if you jump in, that'd be great. Good. I know there's some other people. If I have to call them by name, I will. Or I won't, and then we won't expect much from you.
I was yesterday decided on writing a blog on user management in cloud. There are much things to write on, like you can invite your user and assign different roles directly from the account, and all the things there is. So it was my first to go with the work.
I chose working on whiteboard and documenting about whiteboard. I already posted a mock-up on Slack And after like getting inspiration from eraser.io, I will be adding some more animation for showcasing the Pamela and stuff in a better way in that particular documentation. So yeah, that would be all from me.
Okay, I guess other folks aren't going to do it. All right, what else do we have?
So next item is from Abu Bakr on actually so basically I think this is a call for volunteers on improving the component generator. So do we want to discuss about it? So I can give a quick overview, which is like Meshery as a tool integrates with different integrations, and there is a workflow which actually generates the components which Meshery can use for having an integration with, so that Meshery, once those components are available to Meshery, then any user can use them to define or visualize the infrastructure. And the current ask is basically to improve the workflow, basically making it more modular and ensuring that it doesn't fail. That's one of the thing. I think Uzair, if you want to add on anything, if I missed.
You like basically covered the crux of the issue, like making modular, and ideally it would be like moving away from the workflow, like the scripts, but incorporating that logic inside a Meshery CTL command. So
If anybody is interested, like you can either reach out to Uzair on Slack, or you
Yeah.
can probably.
No, Zara has to do it.
Okay.
He's tried to get 5 people to do it, and there hasn't been done. So
So next item is from Senali on Docker extension UI enhancement. Senali, would you like to discuss?
Last week, according to the last week feedback, I have do some few changes, like use move this logouts. Can I use a profile section to below and add other few statistic and graph here? Like now we have total number of designs and filters here, and also I have added the graph of designs and filters in the extension. Any feedback or suggestion for this?
Probably if we can probably switch the background color of this chart, because it looks a little odd based on what we already have. And we can reduce the width a little bit, and
Also for the button, like we can use the Keppel green that we use, and for the launch Meshery, like if it is clickable, like so we can have the button that says the launch, because currently it's not visible to the user whether it's a clickable or not.
if we can show probably a widget for catalog item, because we already have that information. Just a suggestion.
Catalog items, like show that card, so like
Anybody has any more questions or doubts? Okay. Thank you, Sinali. It looks good. We can probably have a little more discussion about that chart which Ritik was suggesting. So Next item is from Yash on adding avatar in design and filter card. Yash, would you like to take over?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so actually, this PR actually adds an avatar in the design in the filter card. So actually, when you go in the performance in the profile page, and you will see all the cards over there with the uh, avatar in the card. This helps us to understand who created the this particular design instantly rather than just going to the info model. So to be a consistent all of the places, I added this avatar. So this is a simple update on this area. Yeah, I used RTK over here instead of using the direct call for the API to get most out of the cache. Yeah, so this is an update. Any review? We are sure if that looks, because I put this avatar same as for the where we have in the performance card. So
Actually,
Yeah.
one thing like I was thinking we should add more like collaboration features because we have now the collaboration extension. Maybe we can make this dynamic so show the avatar of who is working on that design because we can also I think edit from Meshery UI also. That might make it more intriguing. Actually, I just realized like that would like we have to either show people who are using or people who actually created a design. Otherwise, it's a little bit of discrepancy because in designer we show the avatar of the person who is actively in the design, but here we are showing the avatar of the person who created the design. So
yeah, this will be avatar of the owner who created this design, because same concept we have in the performance in the profile. That's
yeah, makes sense. Otherwise, it will get confusing which thing it is.
Do you get any additional details of user when you click or
yeah.
name or
If you click on avatar, you will redirect to the Mystery Cloud
and
profile
also
page.
since like we have been using avatar in like many places like inside the design share the pop-up model and also in the comment and everything, so are you like reusing that the same component or we are still building on like for each place we use this avatar we are creating a new component and not reusing the logic?
For avatar, I don't think so. We need to reuse that because avatar is a simple component that is provided by the Mystery UI. The reuse concept comes when we hover the avatar, because in that case you will show extra details of the user like
Yeah, that
name.
only
Yeah,
that logic.
that yeah. Currently, we are not using that. To make sure that we are reusing the same component, it's under uh, design process, mockup process. So after that, I will create a reusable component both in the Mystery Cloud and the Mystery so that it can be reused. It would be better if we can put that in system.
Yes.
So this is a main update from my side for the Mystery.
Thank you, Yash. Next is Minu on fix on performing action Meshery getting duplicate toaster notification. Minu, are you on the phone? Yeah. Would you like to discuss? Um, yeah. I think there is some technical issue on their side. So moving on, we can circle back to your item. Next is Akshan on icon design. Akshan, would you like to discuss?
Yeah, just wait. I'll share my screen.
Mhm.
Okay, so I was working on designing two icons for now. One was for who am I, and the other one was for this pod matrix icon. So I've given the basic design and some iterations have been done. I just wanted some final like reviews, what can be done on these so that I can uh, give a PR for them and work on the next two. I guess this was the final one. Ritik suggested some changes and I did those. One thing I was wanted to ask you, Ritik asked me no, to remove these boxes from the background, but I am using Illustrator, and when I like export it as an SVG, this is the default exportation that is done. So I don't know how to like export it like this one, like question mark, which has been.
Yeah,
This
okay.
is the thing I'm getting.
Yeah, okay. Like because it looks like it's having the background, so that's why I didn't check that when we download this icon, so that will be removed. So I didn't check it, that's why I added that comment.
Okay.
But yeah, but for the white icon and for the blue icon, I have wrote down the comment on the PR. Like for the white icon, like we can have you share the right icon for the white version, but for the blue version, like you can use the same version icon, white icon version, and just have the blue color of the Kubernetes. So because the color you are using for the colored version of the icon, that is not the Kubernetes blue. So yeah, also that icon have the question marks,
Question.
which look like it is placed above the icon. So
Yeah, the purpose of this question mark being transparent was whenever you will change the background to any like color, it will automatically like take its background. So
yeah, but
you want
for
me to
no, like
add
for
the
no, but for the colored version that you shared, like that one has that question mark placed above.
yeah, 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 this
So
one.
and not this one, the other one that you have in the PR.
Uh,
If you go to the files change, so
okay, okay. The blue question mark above the transparent. I have to remove that, right?
if you move down, like
Yes. Can I see it?
yeah,
Okay,
here this
this
one,
one.
like yeah.
So like in the white version is fine, but in the colored version I have to like
Yeah, you use
make the
that.
user.
Yeah, use that same icon that you have for the white version. Just replace the white color with the Kubernetes blue.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
got it. And for this Ford matrix one, any suggestions? Hmm. So
Yeah.
in this, is this fine or do I have to like color the lines and
Yeah,
dots blue in this one and remove the background?
yeah, like you can change the color. For the color version, you can remove that
Background
cytoscape
and I
space.
have
Yeah.
to like color the lines and dots
Yeah,
instead,
but
right?
if you but now if you zoom over the colored icon, like
Yeah.
yeah, here you can see like that edge is overflowing that
Okay,
circle.
okay, okay. Okay, I'll fix it. Okay.
Mm.
Thank you for the review. That's fine.
Okay, thank you, Akshay and Ritik, for your update. Next, we have Akshay Sharma on reusable components and edge editing Pamela. Akshay, would you like to discuss?
Actually, my Zoom is not working right now. I need to like restart. I can go next. I will just
Sure.
restart.
Okay. Next is Uzair on CDM adapter updates and connection management.
Okay. So the first item is like basically the CDM adapter was out of date and it was not unable to start, and all the operations for like install or whatever operations supported operations for the adapter were failing and you cannot use it. So the issues were like a dependency issue and the components that were being generated, the the functions that were used to generate the components were outdated, and that's why that the CDM was not working. So this is fixed, and related to this there was another issue in UI. For example, whenever you went to the adapters tab, the UI would crash. Basically that was because of the props that we passed inside that component were like wrong or undefined. That was the cause for it. I've added the link, so if you want to verify the fix you can. And the other thing I was focusing primarily towards was connection management inside Meshery server. So it is all about since Meshery can integrate with many of the integrations, and we want a proper defined way to control the state and provide an enhanced user experience to the user. So this is the flow of like what the connection states inside Meshery looks like, and inside docs.meshery.io there have been like description about what mean. I will be enhancing the docs further more after as soon as further I get completed with this connection state management. So this is the link for if you want to understand like what a managed connection, unmanaged connections, and the FSM around connections. And related to this, I created connection definition. So each of the models that we have inside server/mesh models, each model would have an connection definition as well as credential definition. So right now I've created a connection definition for Kubernetes connection. So basically the model is Kubernetes and version is wildcard. So because uh, no matter what the version of model you're using, the basic thing would always be the same. Like the how you will manage your connection, everything would be same. So that's why it is a wildcard. And inside the metadata there is like supported transition. So from a particular state we can transition to which of the other state are like this information is captured inside this metadata. And for Kubernetes connection, the instance, like the Golang instance inside, like the way to capture that connection inside Golang is through like Kubernetes context. So and for Prometheus would be like a different thing. For Meshery server it is a Meshery instance file. So each has its own schema. So that schema is captured inside this newly created uh, schemas repo. Just a minute. So inside this there is there would be a schema for for each of the connections. For in this case it is a Kubernetes connection, so that's why Kubernetes context. So and that would be referenced directly from this connection definition. And so this is around how what is the connection definition, credential definition. And I was also halfway through implementing that. So the idea is like per connection there will be like a state machine instance, and that for each connection there would be a one instance of a finite state machine that would be ideally managing the lifecycle of that connection. And the way it is managed is like the methods are exposed like whatever, like a factory function. So whatever connection that we support, based on that you can create a new instance of that machine, and you can also send events, and that events can also be like an external event. So internally it would mean like UI can send events UI can send events to the server to transition to other states, or meshing can also send events, or any component that integrates with Meshery can send events, and the transition would happen and we'll manage the life cycle around it. So this is the idea behind it. Any questions? Lee or Pranav or anyone else?
Go, go, go. That's my response. Good. Move. Go, go.
Yeah, I would be moving fast, and I will try to wrap it as
Cool.
fast as
Good.
possible. Yes.
Hey, by the way, that looks great. I like how the reference is, well, it's just it's kind of interesting. It's the schema. So it's not the property itself isn't called reference, but the property is called schema. And just, I'm sure that you knew that all along, but in my mind, it was, I didn't know how that would look. And that looks, makes a lot of sense. It's just, where do you get the schema for how this connection is defined? Over there. And is that the case for, or allow me to prepare my question? From what model and what component is that K8's context YAML defined? I see the reference, the URI right there, but from where does that come? Where is that originally defined? Is that a Meshery specific construct, or is that defined by, certainly the Kubernetes project itself defines what a kube config is and has articulates all of the ways, but in terms of the generation of that component, how is that being generated and under, I'm assuming it comes under the Kubernetes model, but I've never seen it before, so I'm not familiar with it. That component.
You are referring to this connection component or this particular K8's context component? K8's context.
K8's context.
Okay. So this would be like this is not a component. For example, like if you imagine if you have seen the pod, so that would not be an for example.
That's weird. I swear there's a diagram of what the model structure is. And I swear there's a line that goes from connection.
I mean, like for connection to, instead of like connection to component, it would be connection to model itself, because like you, if you
I get it. There's no line though. Like you just made up a new system. Maybe sorry. I don't know why it's so funny.
Because also, like if you see, I've placed it under like not inside a component itself, but there is a model, and then there is a like connection folder, and inside that connection definition leaves. So it would mean like the connection definition is for the model and not for each individual component, because all the components inside that particular model defines the overall life cycle of that component. For example, like the Prometheus, so it has Prometheus operator, deployment, and everything. So all of those define the working of that proper function of that model. So in this sense,
yeah, I mean, yeah, logically, I'm with you. Hopefully, I'm going to bring up a diagram so that everybody else is with us, is feeling comfortable with this. There's a page on our Meshery docs that talk about these lines that we're referring to, that talk about these relationships that we're referring to. You'll find it under concepts, models. This diagram is right here, is the same as what you see here. There's just two examples, same diagram. This one attempts to explain it a little bit differently. Right now, what Uzair is showing is, well, an example of how you define a connection. And his example is how you define a connection to a Kubernetes cluster or a Kubernetes context. And the line or the relationship inside of this object model goes from, this diagram has a bug. This diagram has a bug. It's meant to come from component to connection. So let's look at this diagram. This is from component to connection. And the line that is being drawn at the moment, that Uzair is drawing, that makes a lot of logical sense, is that there's a line from the model directly to the connection instead of from the model to a component to a connection. So this is just from my perspective, and I'm pausing to explain it to everyone, so hopefully everyone else can have a perspective and offer up some thoughts. Makes logical sense. I mean, all of those objects are contained inside of a model. They're all children or grandchildren of the model. Right now, a connection is like a grandchild. If, as you go to do that, where are the particulars of a K8s context, the definition of the internals of the K8s context? Where's that defined?
It is defined that, like, inside the same connection definition, so it has nothing to relate with components.
That's what? Wait. All the particulars of the connection, they would, if you share your screen again, they would be typically defined in that property on line 41 called schema. Good, and all the details would be there, like the server location, the server name, the cluster name, the cluster, the credential, all that stuff. Normally they would be under schema, and if they're not hard-coded under schema, you can have a shortcut or a reference or an alias, which you do, to pointing to somewhere else where they are defined. And this is my hang up with the thing, is like, okay, well, where does that, you're saying that lives inside the model. It's like, well, where are the particulars? Where is server location and all?
I'm not entirely getting you, so maybe we can chat it afterwards.
Or I guess I'll ask it like just this, very specifically. Where do you track the URL of the cluster? Where's Cube API located? Where would you store that property?
Basically, it would be inside this, whatever the instance of the schema, inside the K8s context here.
Oh, okay. This is what you pointed at. Where does this live?
This is a general schema that inside a general schema folder, and this would be referenced by every component server or remote provider or everything.
Anything wrong with that? You go to import and export a model, so the system can understand how to connect to something. What unit of packaging do you use when you register capabilities like this? The model, or that's been the plan, or like, what? Anyway, the thing is like that probably needs to live within the model itself. And if it's a direct relationship from the model to the connection, then okay, like it's in no man's land, like right now. Maybe we could start from you proving that diagram doesn't work, and then we can figure out what other lines need to be drawn, if any. Okay. Yeah, I mean, because yeah. I mean, I don't know. Did you agree with that? I mean, do you think it needs more thought, or
I think it would need more thought for me. So, like, to get your point completely and present to you, like, why the current proposed model works and versus the previously defined one.
Yep. If I want to define a relation, if I want to define what Prometheus is and import it, And there's or Meshery maybe. Meshery has context as well. So I would just put a context file in I don't know how else to say it. Like you're going out of bounds. Like none of this is defined. It's not captured within a model. The model is the unit of packaging about how you describe what Meshery understands and models things. And what you're doing is taking something and putting it at the root folder outside of the bounds of any other model. And you're saying this is a special platform. We're going to hard code to this platform. Everyone should have this understanding. It's going to be reused
No.
across.
It is not outside model. Inside, it is inside model, but outside the components.
Okay. I swear that's not what you said a second ago when you said where it was placed, but yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Google, I mean, logically that makes sense, but that's not described inside of the object model today. And it's not captured by, if you're hard coding something ourselves, this is like not what we want to do. There's certain stuff we have to do, like these metadata transitions that we have to define within Meshery, but otherwise we want to programmatically generate those properties. Are we defining the properties by which you connect to Kubernetes? No, Kubernetes defines it. We should be reading from them, either from the Go client or ideally from a pre-existing component that would describe what a Kubernetes server is. We have some models that do that holistically, and hence the need for referencing the schema from not redefining it inside of a connection, but referencing to a component. If there are no components that represent a Kubernetes server, there may well not be. If there isn't, that's what the connections object is for. It would then hard code and specify how to connect to a thing.
Okay.
So I would propose to you that the K8s, if there is no component available, the content of the K8's context.yaml probably just needs to be directly placed into this connection definition.
Okay.
If that, I don't think about it. There's a lot in there. I know that I hope that wasn't too much of a waste of time for everybody else. It's an important fundamental, fundamental subsystem. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying, I just wanted to add that, like last time when we discussed all this thing, we took the example of Helm chart, and Helm chart actually defines what a Helm connection is all about. So that is from where we came to the conclusion that components will define what a connection is and not a model. So just wanted to highlight that.
Okay. We'll go through that.
Yeah. By the way, just as a summary for everyone else and for who's there, I think, and maybe I'm completely wrong, that you're just 1 degree off. Like everything else is correct. Instead of putting the file right there, you just take the contents of the file and put it directly into the schema property. I think that's the only difference. A super small change, but then everything that the object model, and we keep saying the word model so many times, but that object model that we have, if you move it 1 degree over, then everything else, you're still within the bounds. You're still doing exactly what's been defined. And so anyway, good. That's nice. One thing that will help you become a believer in the current design or disprove the current design is to grab a different piece of infrastructure. Prometheus is like the example that I can't stop using for whatever reason, or Helm, is to go over and say, okay, well, there is a component that represents a Prometheus server, and it has the details of how to connect to a Prometheus server. So that would be where, it would be easy to make a reference. And so if you do, we think that there are one of two ways that you define a connection. Either you put all the details directly into the connection definition, or you make reference to some other component. So if you do the second way, it will help reinforce the first way or disprove it. Yeah, oh, nice. Oh, great. Yeah.
Thank you, Zaire and Lee, for the discussion.
Thank you,
I
Zaire.
think, Akshay, would you like to show your item or should we circle back?
Yes. Okay. So I was working and I guess almost completed the edge editing part and the edge editing camera. So this is what the current design look like. Uh, the check mark with a white check and all the curve styles and different options for editing the edge and made the color picker and everything else a bit more concise.
Just for like the edge, because should we like condense the editing part and make the actual configuration part more prominent? Because sometimes I think it can be multiple fields for the configuration. Right now it's just two fields, address, and maybe it should come first before the editing part because it's more useful for the edge.
Okay. Okay, I can shift that.
At the end, is it a delete button at the end?
Okay, sure. Only this part will be in the middle. Okay. Yeah, I will be fixing that and it will be ready to be merged after you like review. So that will be it from my side.
Thank you, Akshay and Abid, on those new whiteboarding features. Next is Ritik and me on Meshery UI dashboard. Okay, so I can first give a quick overview of. Basically, like whenever you land on the Meshery UI, currently like there is a little bit of issues where you don't get a lot of things which you should be seeing when you land on a Meshery, when you land on any of the cloud native infrastructure manager. Basically, you get to see very few things, and even though Meshery is quite intelligent in discovering different things in your environment, but currently there's a little bit of issues where the dashboard is quite it's not quite appealing. So we were recently discussing about how we can improve it. So what I think I'm on a different branch. Basically, Ritik actually helped in improving the new UI design. So
I can share the
okay.
new design. Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, this is the current UI for the Meshery UI dashboard. So like we are working on improving this. So like currently we have this low fidelity wireframe for the dashboard. So yeah, currently it's a work in progress. So this is how we are laying out the new dashboard designs.
The empty state that you have your mouse on, is the intention to have for the background to be empty, or yep, yeah, that.
Like yeah, it will be a blur, like we can just showing the random graph at the back, so that like when a user clicks on the configure telemetry provider, user will be redirected to that metrics page. From there, they can just add Prometheus or Grafana. Then we will show the original graphs.
I get it. I just the simple question is that going to be a blank background?
Not the blank, but just same
please.
as. Hmm?
Can you please consider? That's confusing. I'll let you
Alright.
figure it out.
Yeah. Okay.
Why would okay? You sound unconvinced. You're showing an empty state with a chart right there, right?
Yeah.
You're showing an additional widget or additional card on top of another card as sample data. So you're showing like an empty sample state and empty state in the background. Then you're showing another empty state on top of it.
Right.
Are you more convinced now? Or no?
Yeah. Convinced.
Okay. Sandra has some comments.
I think Sandra, you are mute. Would you consider changing microphone?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Using two devices just in case Wi-Fi knocks one of them out. So the dashboard is has a lot of data on it. I'm wondering what the ultimate goal is for a user to have once they view the dashboard. Because for me, I would assume that you would want them to retrieve a certain amount of information from this dashboard. But I'm assuming that since it's still a work in progress, what we're seeing now is not going to be the end product. Like the white areas are not going to be filled in, because I would just assume this is a lot of information for a user to take a look at all at once.
Yeah, like for as it is the work in progress, so like most of the data will be shifted downward. Like we will be showing just few. So this layout will be changed a little bit when we add some more data here.
Would there be any like data tables also, or only charts?
Currently, like we are just showing the charts, like but we can have the data table as well. But for now, like we are just going with the charts.
Charts of what?
Like
guys,
chart,
you took a step backwards. What happened to all the other useful data that people were going to get?
Yes. Yeah, actually, I discussed that whenever someone will click on any of these cards, then they would be seeing the tabs view that I had created. So basically, this is the very first overview page where user will land on. And once this is the page where they will get the high level overview. Whenever they will click on any of these things, then they will be taken into a separate page where they will have more information about each of the different things that they want to see. And each thing would be hyperlinked to other stuff. So that is.
Okay, so there'll be a chart for each resource group in Kubernetes here. Where will the Meshery system settings, like Meshery status itself?
Yeah, actually, this is labeled like the very last. Ritik, if you can zoom out a little bit, like we label like on the four things that we see. Yeah, this thing. So first four things is about namespaces, cluster, and nodes and pods. And if you go a little on the right, then you will see connection and registry capabilities. And on the bottom, yeah, it was about connection status and the catalog items. So if someone clicks on view more on that specific cluster or nodes, then they would be taken into that data table view that I was showing earlier. I'll capture that in this. I'll work with Ritik and capture that in this design.
Okay. I don't know. Well, yeah. Where would I go to look at workloads? How would I find that?
Like whenever you there would be a separate drop down in the dashboard's navigation bar on the left side.
Okay.
Um,
Yep, that would be what? A drop down for what?
Drop down for different groups, that is nodes, security, configuration, workloads. Like in the dashboard currently there is no this in the
Yeah.
dashboard currently there isn't any submenus. Ritik, if you
Yeah.
go a little on the left, yeah, like a little more. Yeah, like if you see in the lifecycle, there's connection and service meshes. Like I was thinking on the dashboard, there would be workloads, nodes, and security configuration, that stuff.
Yeah, you guys got some. I mean, hey, this is just one person talking. Sandra had some good points about just being overwhelmed and how to attempt to clarify for the users if dashboards are by nature generally really rather dense, especially systems monitoring dashboards. Still, how does someone begin to digest, and how do we train their eyes? How would we help them, go to? And so if you zoom out just a little bit and we read those blue annotations, if things are being grouped next to each other that are relevant to one another, that can help. If so, number of namespaces, number of pods, it's like consider, if you would, organizing in accordance with Kubernetes resource groups, which I think is what you were referring to, where that workloads arrow is. You were saying like, hey, under the workloads, you'd be able to click the drop down, and if that was dedicated to workloads, which is what it's labeled as right now, the drop down you might assume would contain deployments, replica sets, I don't know, cron job, whatever workloads are, cron jobs maybe, or pods. And so there wouldn't necessarily be a separate pods graph on the left. Pods are super important, but you can also go over there. There's a bunch of other groups to define. There's maybe more resource groups to display than there is necessarily room for. How many are there?
Yes, security, configuration,
and all of those
workloads.
captured here? Yeah, there's like 8 or something, right?
Yeah.
How many are captured here?
Not all are there currently.
Yeah. So how were you guys planning on having that rightmost component, that rightmost widget, to be a resource group switcher, or just a switcher within the resource group, a switcher between resource groups, or within a resource group? Yeah, how do people? Yeah, I don't know. Pranav probably lost. Okay, anyway, we're a little bit over time. I think you got. I mean, immediately, it's not obvious how you didn't just lose a bunch of functionality with respect to the other prototypes that use data tables, and that I was hoping might be done today.
I think some part of the problem might be solved if we can have those configurable dashboards, then user can configure like which workloads they want to show prominently and how to position them maybe. And we would have like a bit pre-configured like what we will show at first, but later on users might configure them to their own. And then they would have multiple pre-configured dashboards, and we can have those different tabs at the top to switch between them.
Yep, sure. Yep. Ultimately and that would help assuage Sandra's point as well, that if users didn't like it to be super dense, they could, remove. Or, yeah, is there a second mock-up to this? Like after someone delves into one of these?
No.
Okay. Where do the data tables come into play?
Yeah, actually, I think we didn't discuss that little area. The thing is, what I was saying, under the dashboard, there would be some menus where we can choose any of the high level API groups, and then you would be seeing the data tables and what I was showing earlier. This would be the first dashboard, because you said we don't want to directly land on K8's related thing, we have to show other systemic related stuff as well. So
Yep. I don't know. It's hard to imagine what you, okay, good. As soon as you guys have that mock up, let's see it. In the meantime, please just finish the data tables. Let's get some additional info up there. Those are only additive to what we have and helpful. You can leave the existing charts, get some data tables, good. Then you can work on something more like this, which would be an improvement. Ultimately, yeah, the stuff that was planned for 6.5, custom telemetry, included configurable dashboards with board locations, configurable panels and stuff. There's a whole bit of work inside of there. In lieu of, in advance of getting there, there are improvements that we can do on the current dashboard. And some of that is just extraordinarily quick, like end of today type thing. You can have data tables and just a quick nap to them. And that would double or triple or quadruple the utility, or 10 times the utility of the current dashboard. Just having those data tables, they'll be super ugly, but the utility of them will be quite high. And they can be on a second tab, not the first tab where we need to give people eye candy and a very high level summary. Those data tables at the top of them should contain a handful of charts. Please feel free to disagree with me as I make these statements in like as these come out as like edicts from me. I'm just trying to save time and like cut through some of the stuff. But please, anyone, feel free to, refute them. I mean, please do it, because we don't want to do the wrong thing. Please argue is what I'm saying.
Perhaps not doing the wrong thing, but I'm just well, I don't know if the concern is the right word for it, but it's the time effort that's been put into building something that in the end, when it's not received well, it's going to have to be reduced, so I'm just wondering if there's a way we can actually attack this by perhaps conducting a user study on the draft, and just giving a final high fidelity overview of what the dashboard would look like, and then have that implemented so that we don't have all of this dense information components within the dashboard, release it, and then have people say, man, I don't even know where to start, So it's just concern regarding the time effort being put into creating something that might not be well received. So I'm wondering where within the design process a user study could be fit in it, or something in that direction.
Anybody? Yeah, that's not really aimed at me, by the way. I guess it's not Ritik or Pranav. You guys are the two that are. You guys have any feedback for Sandra? Is that a good idea? A bad idea? You not understand what she said? It's kind of
actually like that's a great idea to have user stations. Then we can go on the right path. But the problem is like getting the proper users to test it, and also getting the right feedback drags the process, and sometimes we will get into a loop. That's something to think about.
Ritik, Pranav. You guys don't have any response to. Okay. She's offering up feedback.
No, actually, what I was just thinking, like, I do understand that whatever Abid like covered is true, like basically waiting on others for feedback and then working on, or either first we should work and then we should ask for feedback.
Yeah, they're both. I don't even know what Abid said. I didn't listen because I was so frustrated by you guys not responding, saying anything. We got a UXer that's just sitting there not saying anything. It's like, yeah, very clearly, user studies are quite helpful. Yep, the both can be achieved, right? by the way, I'm only saying this stuff because you guys aren't saying it. And I wish it wasn't me saying it. I wish it was you guys saying it. But what she said is true. It's very quick. Take a screenshot. You can dump this. In the time that I'm saying these statements, you can dump to a file. You can create a post on discuss.layer5.io or send to the mailing list, the project mailing list, say, hey, what do you guys think? And that while that wouldn't be the best and most like befitting, like best way of phrasing it, you could still get it done in that same time frame in about 2 minutes, right? If you took an extra minute, you could actually write like, hey, this is what we're thinking of doing right here and right here. You describe it a little bit more and then send it out. And it doesn't have to be your best work ever. It's just soliciting some of that. In the meantime, you could go back to the code that you've already written that takes data tables very fast and merge that today. And we would achieve both. We would have a 10x utility and we would, take that heed. We would heed Sandra's caution that like, hey, what if we invest a long time and we get it wrong? Wouldn't it make sense to maybe take a moment to ask people? But yeah, I mean, those both seem compatible. Ritik, any thoughts, man? Any thoughts at all?
Like, yeah, I'll share it on the Slack and on the discussion forum so that you others can share their reviews on what can we change.
I think there's also a way to formulate the, hey guys, we're looking for opinions regarding this dashboard to get people interested enough to actually click on the link and give feedback. It's just the wording of the post. And I could help with taking a look at, their websites that where people can post designs and then have users test it. But I think the key is actually finding within the community the people or companies that actually use or would use this, and then get 100 people. I mean, there's 5,000 people in the general channel, and literally around 50 on a weekly basis are active. But I think if we can just formulate it well enough and target the right people, we'll get what we need within, hopefully less than a month. I think it's a way of saving costs, and cost being time. I don't know if to anyone else time equals some form of cost, but it's just the effort that you're going to put in and then have to take like 99 step backwards because the people that are actually going to use it were like, hey, why didn't you ask us before you went all the way to 100% complete? So yeah, I mean, maybe just think about it a little bit before just writing the post and then asking and then just figuring out who we're targeting and then talk to them.
Yeah, all right.
Thank you, Sandra. Like, that makes sense. Probably Ritik and I will make a post and ensure that we solicited everybody's opinion, and we'll ensure that the first easy thing is out today, and we improve this thing based on our today's feedback. And I think, okay, so we are already 12 minutes after, so I think we can cover the rest of the other items in the upcoming call. And I think that's all for today. So those who are new, don't forget to join our tomorrow's newcomers call, and you can get the link for that at meet.layer5.io. Somebody should share that in the chat, and we would have the same call next week on Wednesday. And that's all for today. Thank you all for joining. Okay, bye.
Bye guys. See ya.